everybody, my name is Ria. In this video I'm going to explain how to write the code for the implementation of a single linked list. And in this program we have to perform the following operations, such as insertion operation at the front of the list, at the back of the list, and at any position in the list, and then deletion of an element from the front of the list, at the back of the list, and at any position in the list. And then we'll be displaying all the elements in the list. For this, first of all, we have to create a structure, and I have named it as node over here, and then I have declared some of the variables inside the structure node, that is int data and node star link. Now this link is of data type node, and I have also declared the structure variable which I have named it as head, and which is a pointer variable. Now first of all, we'll be writing the code to perform the first operation, that is insertion, inserting any element in the front of the list. So for that we'll be defining this function, that is void insert front. And before inserting any element at the front of the list, first of all we have to create a new node, and we have to insert the data into the data field of the node. Now the new node, any node has got two parts. One is the data field and another one is the link field. Now we have to insert this data into the data field of the new node, and we have to make the link of the new node point towards null. Now after this is done, we'll be checking whether head is equal to null. If it is so, then we'll make the head point towards the new node. Now if this condition is false, then it will come to the else part, and we'll make the new node's link point towards the head, and we'll make head equal to new node. Now this is the code that we have written for inserting any element at the front of the list. And for inserting any element at the end of the list, again we have to create, for inserting at the end of the list, again we have to create a new node, and then we have to insert the data into the data field of the new node, and we have to make the new node's link point towards null. Now again we'll check the condition. If head is equal to null, then we'll make the head point towards the new node, and we'll use the return statement which will terminate the current execution. Now if this condition is false, then it will come to the else part, and here we have declared another pointer variable which will be storing the head node's value, and after that there's a while condition over here, while loop over here. Now inside this there's a condition, that is a link of the last node is not equal to null, then the last node's link will be equal to last, and the last node's link will be equal to new node. Now this is the code that we have written for inserting any element at the end of the list, and for inserting any element at the nth position of the list. For that we have to create two pointer variables. One is temp and another one is temp1. Now in the above two functions we had created a new node named new node, but here we have named the new node as temp, so don't get confused. Here also we are creating a new node, and we are inserting the data into the data field of the new node, and we are making the new node's link field point towards null. Now again it is checking the condition, that is if head is equal to null. If it is so, then we are displaying the message that the list is empty, and we are also displaying the data which is there in the new node, and we'll also be displaying that this is the only data in the linked list, and we'll make the head point towards the new node, and we'll return. This return statement terminates the execution of a function and returns the control to the calling function. Now the user, then we have used the cout statement so that the user will be able to enter the node number of the particular element of the particular position where the user wants to enter the data, and we'll make the temp1 point towards the head. Now we are running a loop over here, that is for int I is equal to 1, I less than n minus 1, I plus plus. Now inside this for loop there's a condition. If the link field of the temp1 is pointing towards null, then we'll be displaying that the node does not exist, and we'll put a break statement over here that will terminate the current execution. Now if this condition is not true, then it will come to this part of the program and the temp1's link will be pointing towards temp1. And outside this for loop we have two other conditions. Outside this for loop we have two other conditions, that is temp of link will be equal to temp1's link, and then temp1's link will be equal to temp. And after that, let us see how to write the code for the Now let us see how to write the code for deleting any element from the front of the list. Again, for that we have to create a new node, and then here we won't be inserting any element into the data field of the new node. Instead, we'll be inserting the data of the head node into this new node, and we'll finally be deleting the new node. Now before that we have to check the condition if head is equal to null. If it is so, then we'll display that the list is empty, and then we are using the return statement over here. And if this condition is false, then we'll be displaying the data which we had stored in the new node, and then we'll display that is the deleted data is that particular element, and then we'll be deleting the new node as explained before. Now after this deletion is over at the front, let us see how to write the code for deleting the last element. For that we will be declaring two pointer variables, one is prev and another one is last, and we'll be equating both of them to the head node. Now we'll be checking this condition. If head is equal to null, then we'll display that the list is empty, and then we'll use a return statement which will terminate the current execution and which will return the control to the calling function. Now if this condition is false, it will come to this part. Now since there's no else if, so even if this condition is true, it will come to this part and it will check if this condition is true or not, that is last of link is pointing towards null or not. If it is so, then it will show that the deleted element is last, the data which is present in the last node, and it will make the head point towards null and it will delete the last node. Now else, there's a while condition over here, while loop condition over here, that is if last of link, if the link part of the last is not pointing towards null, then we'll set priv and last, priv as last, and the priv as last, and we will set priv as last, and last is equal to last of link. And outside this, if this condition is false, then the message will be displayed that the deleted element is the data which is present in the last node, and will make the link of the previous node point towards null, and then we'll delete the last node. Now let us see how to write the code for deleting the node at any position. Now for that, first of all, this condition is checked whether head is equal to head node is equal to null. If it is so, then the message is displayed that the list is empty. Now if this condition is false, it will come out of this statement, and then it will ask the user to enter the head node. Now again we have declared two pointer variables, one is temp and another one is prev. Both is storing the head node's value. Now this condition is checked. If n is equal to 1, then we are calling delete front function. That is the if the user enters the node number as 1, that means this operation will be performed, that is deletion will happen at the front of the list. Now we are running a loop that is for int I is equal to 1, I less than n, I plus plus. Now inside this for loop, now there is a if statement, that is if temp equal to null. If it is so, then the message will be displayed that the node does not exist, and if it is not so, then it will come out, and then the previous node will be made equal to the temp node, and the temp node's link will be pointing towards temp. Now outside this for loop we have another condition, another statement, that is the link part of the previous node will be equal to the link part of the temp node, and the deleted, and we'll display the deleted element, that is temp of data, and then we'll delete the temp. Now for displaying, first of all this condition is checked, that is if head is equal to null. If it is so, then it will display that the list is empty, and we are using a do while loop over here. That means even if the condition is false, the loop will be executed at least once, and we will be displaying the data, and this loop will run until it reaches the second last element, and when it reaches the second last element, this it will come out of the loop, and the null, at last null will be displayed. Now since this is a menu driven program, we are giving user the following options to perform the operation as per the user's wish. And here first of all we have initialized head as null, and then we are using a do while loop over here, and inside the do while loop we are using a switch case, and in case 1, if the user enters option 1, then it will take the user to the insert front function, and then the following operation will be performed. Similarly, if the user enters 2, then it will take the user to the insert at the end part of the program. And then similarly for the other functions, if the user enters 3, then the insert at the end location will be performed, and if the user enters 4, then deletion from the front will be performed. If the user enters 5, then deletion from the last will be performed, and if the user enters 6, then deletion from the nth position will be performed, and 7th will be for displaying the elements in the list. And finally, if the user wants to exit from the program, it has to he or she has to press 8. Now every time the compiler will be asking the user whether the user wants to continue or not, and for that we have used this statement. And now let us see how this program runs. Now suppose if I want to insert any element at the front of the list, I'm pressing 1, and then suppose if I want to insert the data 45, then again Y. Then if I want to insert any element at the end of the list, then I'm pressing 2, and then any element such as 34, and then Y. And then if I want to insert any element at the nth location, then suppose if I'm entering 23, then it is asking the node number. Now if I want to insert this particular element at the second position, then I press the node number, enter the node number as 2. Now it has already inserted that element in the second position, and the already element existing in the second position will be shifted to the third position. Now let us see how these data will be displayed. See, first of all, we had entered. Now the last element that we wanted to be at the front was 45, and now let us see how the deletion operation works. Now if I want to delete from the front, then I'm entering 4, and then the deleted element is 45 because my first element was 45. And if I want to delete from the last, then I'm pressing 5, and the deleted element is 34. Now if I want to delete from the nth position, suppose 6, it's asking the node number, suppose I'm pressing 2. Now because there was no element in the second position, so it displayed, so the program stopped, and it exited from the current execution. Thank you.